Good Monday morning. The New York Giants are 7-2, taking care of business yesterday at home against one of the league's worst. Maybe a little more agita than you wanted, but you never really felt like the Giants were going to choke this one away. So now they've got to do it again. Next week against the Detroit Lions will be a little bit tougher of a task, but you want to head into that Thanksgiving Day game against the Cowboys at 8-2 as they lose yesterday to the Dallas Cowboys. Another crazy day in the NFL, one of the great regular season games we have ever seen, and I don't think that's recency bias or Vikings bias. It was just one of those amazing, amazing games that I don't think that sequence of events will ever happen again in the history of the NFL. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Hey, good morning, G. I'm great. Yeah, after another just unbelievably wild weekend, whether it be the Packers over the Cowboys, the Vikings over the Bills, the sequence of events that you were talking about at the end of that game, both in regulation and overtime, just unbelievable. The fact that Josh Allen ended up playing, didn't practice at all, maybe a little bit on Friday, and came out and played as well as he did until the interception started happening. It was just amazing. You couldn't predict it for your life. And the fumble on the goal line at the end of regulation by the Bills that's like 1 in 1,000 plays that may happen in that situation. Now, I know that the Minnesota Viking defense is just completely sold out, and they're trying to get that fumble, and you never know when it's going to happen, and lo and behold, it happens there. And I personally think, and I think a lot of people out there feel the same way, because I was reading a lot about this particular play, this 4th and 18 catch by Justin Jefferson was nothing short of just absolutely beauty. It was a beauty. It was the greatest catch I think I've ever seen in covering the NFL. And I've seen a lot of great catches. I mean, you had the helmet catch in the Super Bowl,
Sure.
and I know this was a regular season game and all
Julian
that other
Edelman
stuff.
catch.
Julian Edelman catch was unbelievable. Julio Jones had a great catch. But there have been a lot of great catches. Let's face it.
Odell.
And everybody loved the Odell catch because that was the first time that we really saw a guy stretched out, grab the ball over his head, and come down with it. And there really wasn't anybody around him. Mm-hmm. This was the same as that Odell catch. However, somehow Justin Jefferson on 4th and 18 rips it away from Lewis, the safety for the Bills, and because Lewis has got 2 hands on it.
Yep.
And as he's falling to the ground, has the ability to take his hand, put it underneath the ball, rip it away from the defender, and not have the ball hit the ground, and it doesn't even bobble. He just holds onto it.
The fact that didn't hit the ground in that slow-mo replay, we're just seeing him with the one hand keep it above the ground was miraculous. And to be on a 4th and 18 as well, Kirk Cousins just throws it up to him and says, all right, you go make the play, and he did. And I'm sorry, you cannot tell me that there is a better wide receiver in football than that guy.
Well,
I mean,
I'll tell you, Tyreek Hill is pretty good. Tyreek Hill changes the game, and there's a lot of other.
I'll take Justin Jefferson over Tyreek Hill every day of the week.
Well, he's doing something that very few people have done. I mean, you're talking about he's in rarefied air. He's up there with the amount of yards that he has up to this point into his 3rd year, is 3rd on the all-time list, and I think he's right behind. I got to get the number, but the other guys, he's right behind Randy Moss, and he'll catch Randy Moss before the season's over. So I mean, he makes it to the rest of the way. And I'm trying to think of the other. Maybe it was Jerry Rice, maybe. But I mean, it's rarefied air where he's at. There's no question about it. And then you speak about rarefied air. Well, that wouldn't be on the air, it'd be on the ground, rarefied ground. That would be Saquon Barkley. He carried the ball 35 times yesterday.
He's their offense, man.
I mean, it was almost like, okay, you didn't want to sign the contract extension. We're going to run you into the ground. So that's the most carries for a running back this season. Derrick Henry had 32 in a game. But I mean, I can't even imagine how Saquon must feel this morning.
Oh, I'm sure he's thrilled, though the soreness. I'm sure he's absolutely thrilled, and I wonder what the breakdown was in those contract negotiations. I can only assume that it was Saquon wanted a little bit more money than the Giants were willing to give him, and he said, all right, let's play this out and see where it goes at the end of the year. That's just an assumption. But, I mean, this guy has done everything that he said he was going to do in the preseason. So hats off to him and Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones, who do it again. They're not making mistakes. They're making big plays when they need to. Darius Slayton finally took him a couple of weeks to get involved in this offense, and now he is their best weapon at wide receiver. Kenny Galladay's got to be done with the Giants at this point. I mean, if you want to look at one negative in the game, it's certainly him. But yeah, Saquon Barkley's their offense. I mean, he is the reason that the Giants can go into any game and have a shot is because of this run offense and how good Saquon Barkley has been and the fact that they're not turning the football over.
Right. And by the way, just to go back to that Justin Jefferson thing for a second, it's Randy Moss and Odell Beckham Jr. have more yards within their fourth season than Justin Jefferson does, and he's basically about 100 yards behind each one.
Yeah, and he ended up passing both of them, I think, yesterday with like the most amount of 150-yard games in your first couple of years or whatever it was.
I wonder I wonder how Randy Moss would end up playing in today's NFL. Because even like when he was playing, it wasn't what it is today. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, but, I mean, Justin Jefferson is just – It's ridiculous what he's doing. And, now the Giants, have a very unique situation coming because you have the Detroit Lions who can actually score. They can score points. The Houston Texans don't score a lot of points. And, where the passing game of the Giants, and I know because of who Daniel Jones is playing with, and maybe if Kenny Galladay catches a little shallow cross, who knows, he's out the gate, another first down, and they keep the ball, and the whole thing works. But I have to say that their passing game still leaves a lot to be desired. It does, and it's because of really who he's playing with, but what he's really done well, and I think what they have beat into his head, and it's certainly showing, is that he hasn't had an interception, I think, since week 3, and I don't think he's had a turnover since week 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can shut down the run for the Giants, it's going to be very difficult for them to win a game with Daniel Jones just throwing the football. I mean, if we're talking about a team that actually score points. So, I mean, that's the way to beat the Giants. But right now, nobody's really stopping Saquon Barkley. And nobody has done it effectively. So, I mean, they are in a conference right now where, I mean, it feels wide open. And we're going to see them play another bad football team this week. But then they're going to have that huge game. Everybody's going to see them on Thanksgiving against the Dallas Cowboys. And if they can take care of business at home against the Lions and somehow go in and win that game on national TV against the Dallas Cowboys, they got as good a shot as any of continuing this miracle run in the NFC.
Now, could you explain to me why the Cowboys don't attempt a field goal in overtime?
Well, I heard what Mike McCarthy said after the game. He said he had made that decision on second down that he was going for it no matter what.
Why?
To me, he was frustrated. That's what I don't know. You never played a lot of video games, but like when I used to play Madden back in the day,
video games. Okay,
but like when I used to play Madden back in the day,
so this is like a Narpian take.
This is a Narpian take.
Okay,
but like I'd play, but this is you can't do this in real life. But this is what you do. Like if you're playing Madden and like someone's shutting you down, and then you just start doing dumb stuff because you're frustrated and it's a video game. You're just throwing the ball down the field every time when you should be running the ball and being patient, but you can't because you're pissed off.
In Madden.
In Madden, he was like he was playing Madden. That's what I thought he was doing yesterday.
Okay.
He was just frustrated, and he's like, screw it. We should have won this game. We just blew a 14-point lead, and we're going for this, damn it, because we're the better team, and I used to coach here, and I need to get this win. And I think he got frustrated and over-emotional and made a stupid call.
Man, how happy was Aaron Rodgers at the end of that game?
Oh, I'm sure. He only threw the ball like 20 times.
Right, exactly. It was like Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I mean. And
3 touchdowns, Christian Watson, though.
Yeah, good for him, and they obviously needed somebody to step up like that. But he's got an issue with his thumb. It's clear. We've seen him for the last couple of weeks. He's got it wrapped up again. There was a whole situation on the sideline yesterday with that game where they were basically trying to hide. He wasn't in the tent, but they were trying to hide it from the cameras to see what's going on with that thumb. So he's not the same right now. But yeah, I think Mike McCarthy was just frustrated.
I mean that has got to be like. I don't necessarily know that I've seen Mike McCarthy that engaged in a football game.
Yes,
for like
Super
10 years.
Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, he was like in it, man. He was like emotional, and you could see it on his face.
Well, he threw his headset down after that incomplete pass on fourth down, the one you were just talking about. He slammed his headset on the ground, and it's not like there was a missed call by the official or something that he was pissed off at. He was pissed off that they didn't get it.
But he had to know. He had to know, like if you don't make it there, or if you miss a field goal there, by the way, you're giving the ball to Aaron Rodgers in great field position.
Yeah. I mean, it was a 52-yarder at that point.
Yeah,
it wasn't
I know.
A gimme.
And I think Maher is like 2 for 4, and it's outdoors. It's in Green Bay, and I'm not sure, pregame warm-ups, those guys go out there and they try to figure out how far they can kick it from or attempt it from, depending on which way the wind is blowing. It looked like it was a reasonably calm day.
Yeah, he did mention the wind in the post-game news conference.
Okay, so maybe he was kicking
they took the wind, obviously, because they took the ball. So they were going against it at that point. I mean, I don't know. I love the aggressiveness of fourth down, but in that situation, it felt like you should have tried to kick the field goal. I mean, over 50 yards, I feel like today, in today's game, with these kickers, how great they are, it's like a 52-yard field goal sort of feels like a 42-yard field goal 10 years ago.
You know, the Cowboys in franchise history, where they have led by 14 points or more entering the fourth quarter, their record was 195-0, I think.
You think, or you read it out of the thing?
I'm trying to see if I'm reading this correctly, because you never know when we get these stats how it looks. I think they're 195-1 right now.
Wow, that is incredible.
Is that ridiculous?
Yeah, I mean, I did think I saw that yesterday. By the way, on the NFL Game Day highlights, I think they put that exact stat up there.
I mean, it's ridiculous. When I didn't know, you figure there's somewhere along the line they had to lose a game somewhere.
No, not until yesterday.
That's crazy. But, you know, hey, listen, the Giants took care of business yesterday. Was it pretty? I don't think so, but I do know this. They won a game that they were supposed to win, and that is the most important aspect of the NFL, is trying to stay away from those games where you shouldn't lose, because you are the better team. You're in a better situation. You're playing in your own building. The defense should be feeding off the fans. It's Davis Mills. He's going to turn the ball over eventually.
Yeah.
And he did. And certainly the Giants were opportunistic defensively. But, man, running the ball 35 times, I'm thinking that the Giant fans have to love that, right?
Oh, it's Giants football, man. It's old-school Giants football. Play good defense, run the ball, make the plays that you need to in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's why they're in every single football game with
and
that
Daniel
formula.
Jones is not turning it over, like I said.
And then, by the way, so Brian Daboll had another moment where Giants fans are just going to absolutely love him. It was the first one was, other than the winning, of course, but the first one is when he got into Daniel Jones' face week one when he threw that interception in the end zone. And then yesterday, he is tearing apart Jack Anderson, the offensive lineman, for his false start when they were going for it. And you're talking about a fourth down situation and ends up being a false start, and he's the culprit. He tears into Jack Anderson. I mean, like a high school football coach.
Would you have
in
ever
1985?
Would have anybody even known who Jack Anderson was until that moment?
No, absolutely not. No. I mean, and Jack Anderson wishes he wasn't Jack Anderson in that situation, too, by the way.
I mean, the Giants had 3 extra linemen out there at one point.
Right, because they're running a QB sneak. I mean, it was 4th and inches.
I mean, they had like 8 guys out there that were all offensive linemen.
I mean, this was like, you don't see this in the NFL anymore.
Well, I'm sure Jack Anderson can handle it, and I'm sure
of course, but I loved it. It was great.
That's not going to be something that Brian Daboll is going to be doing to Kenny Galladay, because he'll just totally quit on you.
Well, didn't he already quit on him?
Yeah, but the point being is, like, you're not going to yell at Kenny Galladay. You're going to yell at some rando offensive lineman that, you know, is probably a good guy and probably shows up every day on time, probably works his ass off. And they figured, okay, you know, we're gonna run the ball this week. We're gonna try to overpower them. You're gonna get a lot of playing time, and he makes one key mistake.
Yeah.
So let's scream at him, but let's not scream at Kenny Galladay, because you know Kenny Galladay is probably just gonna shut it down and say goodbye.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but he did yell at Daniel Jones like that. I mean, not
Different
quite
story,
as crazy.
different story, different situation, different set of circumstances. Kenny Galladay got a huge contract. He's supposed to be a guy that's supposed to be, you know, their best wide receiver, and he's been anything but that. And it's been, I don't know what's going on. I asked Nate this yesterday on the air. I'm like, does he want to be here? Because Nate and he are pretty good friends.
Yeah, I saw that. It was halftime of the Giants game.
Does he want to be here?
You guys
look like he wants to be here.
And Nate was like, I know Kenny Galladay. We're friends. You know, I appreciate what he's done in the league. But, I mean, he's just, you know, he got a big contract, and it doesn't seem like he cares about football anymore. I mean, that's what it appears to be.
It looks bad. The body language looks bad. He looks bad. It looks like he's totally lost all of his confidence. Now, saying that, you have Kadarius Toney now out in Kansas City.
Yeah.
You know, he had 4 receptions for 57 yards, and he scored his first touchdown yesterday.
First touchdown of his career, not just with the Chiefs, of his career.
Yeah, I know.
And he ends up hopping on one leg going into the end zone there as he was tiptoeing on the sideline.
He's playing with the right quarterback, the right offense, the right offensive coordinator, the right head coach, and it just feels right. For some reason, he couldn't get it done here or didn't want to get it done here, and Kenny Galladay looks like the same way to me.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's basically doesn't care that the Giants are 7-2. It's all about him. Doesn't want to be on this team, and I got a feeling that he might be inactive the rest of the year after what happened yesterday.
He could be. I mean, that's just about as easy a play as there is to be made, and it sucks the air out of the building.
Yeah.
Is what it does.
And what we've seen from this new coaching staff and this new regime is they don't put up with stuff like this. They just don't.
Well, they shouldn't, because, they inherited a losing franchise.
Yeah, of course. So if they gave Kenny Galladay another opportunity after the injury, put him out on the field, we talked about his good week of practice, and he ended up spitting a bit again in the game. So I would not be surprised if that's the last you see of Kenny Galladay this year. I mean, why even have him out there on the field if it's going to be that much of a liability?
Yeah, the other amazing statistics that came out of yesterday's game.
Let me hear it.
Yesterday's games, it marked the first time in NFL history where three teams, that would be the Vikings, Lions, and Packers, all from the NFC North, by the way, all won their games after trailing by 10 or more points entering the fourth quarter.
How about that?
How about that?
The witching hour.
Woo.
All right, it is Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Jerry Recco update coming up in just a few minutes as he breaks everything down from football Sunday and, of course, last night, too, on Sunday Night Football.